An NTTV special report, UNTPrez Talks, with Dr. Neil Simontrisk.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, once again, another episode of UNTPrez Talks, where we have a conversation with UNT President Neil Simontrisk. Once again, I am Michaela Goose. How are you doing today, President Simontrisk?
I'm doing great. How about you, Michaela?
I'm doing good. Another day, another dollar, just like you said. Working through it. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. There have already been some instances of UNT student organizations, specifically the UNT frat, Sigma Chi, hosting parties with large groups of people gathering without following any CDC guidelines such as masks, social distancing, etc. How is UNT, or what is UNT's plan for discouraging these group gatherings and making sure that they don't happen once every student is back on campus that can be?
Well, first of all, we don't condone this type of activity. It's expressly not permitted by our governor, and masking and social distancing are required. So from my perspective, they're not being compliant. And we are looking into this incident that you've talked about that we saw first on social media. And I don't know the details of it. For all I know, it was a post from last year. It could be a post from this year. If it's from this year, I'm disturbed by it. Our students need to understand that they're risking their own health, they're risking the health of their families, and that a reckless disregard for the requirements that we have is not a particularly thoughtful way for us to proceed. So if this occurs in campus situations for campus-sponsored groups, we would be taking disciplinary action.
And I think that's an amazing idea. People need to know that they're risking everybody's health, not just their own. And moving on from that, with UNT going both online and in person in the fall semester, there is always a possibility for another surge in cases, just like there was in the spring semester. If that does happen, are we prepared to go fully online again, or what is the plan?
Well, first of all, if we have to go fully remote because conditions warrant it, we will go fully remote. The problem with that is that there are certain experiential classes that simply don't work in a remote environment. Laboratory-based classes, certain art classes, music classes. And so given that we'll have residential students here, while we have the capability of going fully remote, I believe that we'd work it in stages. We would first take classes that could be offered remotely and take them and put them remote. We would take steps to make sure that we were taking care of our students in the residence halls and that they were being in more isolated or more shelter-in-place kind of conditions. And the last thing to go would be the classes that are really required for a lot of our students to graduate. We're in this tension between really trying to help our students advance and graduate in a timely fashion and let them get through, which saves them money and gets them into the job market, and trying to maintain safety standards. So we're going to be watching very closely what happens in the class and whether our safety responses are adequate for ensuring that we can continue to run classes in a reasonable way. One of the things I want to tell everyone is that we can't guarantee safety in this time. People go out, people go to the store. There's a whole host of different types of things people do that simply wouldn't be safe. What I want folks to know is that on our campus, we plan to offer safer alternatives than what you can get in the public. So for dining, we want our dining alternatives to be safer than what you'd get at a restaurant in town that's supposed to be socially distanced. For classrooms, we want to be safer than the public school system. For our residence halls, we want to be safer than local apartments. We believe that our ability to test and trace, which is key right now for rapid isolation and containing any outbreaks and surges, is going to be a great attribute for our students and will help to make them safer than they would be gathering, for example, at parties or doing other things that aren't recommended. So that's our stance, but the simple answer is if conditions warrant, we can go fully remote again.
Okay, and back to the dining halls thing for just 1 second. How are we planning on making sure these dining halls are safe? Are there going to be masks required when you're not eating, or social distancing of the tables? Like, what is exactly the plan?
Shifts in timing so that not everyone goes at once. Also, at least initially, we're trying to manage by saying pods or wings of 25 to 30 people in the residence halls will initially be only with themselves, which helps us a lot with our baseline testing and tracing. So if we find someone who has COVID, we can offer isolation for that group at a time. So we're trying to kind of develop a family pod structure that allows students to be near each other in residence hall situations, but not with the entire universe. Of course, once school starts, all that changes, but that'll help us to get a handle on the situation, stabilize it. As far as dining goes, we can separate them out. We can offer grab and go meals. We can offer social distancing at the tables. And of course, we encourage students to still observe the 6-foot safety precautions if at all possible. We expect that in the dining halls in particular with your pods, with your family groupings after testing, that there'll be some relaxation of that standard, but that's what we're trying to maintain right now.
That sounds like the perfect solution to me. I hope it sounds like the perfect solution to everybody else. Onto a slightly lighter note, the fall semester is right around the corner, about to start up at the end of the month. And I know everyone is both a mixture of excited and anxious, even more so than they are every other year. Are there any words of wisdom or COVID updates that you would like to impart on the faculty, staff, and parents of students who are about to attend?
Well, we continue to hope for a flattening of the curve. We continue to be ready to have cases, but to actively isolate and support the students who have those with remote opportunities. What we are most, I think what we have to impress on everyone is that we need flexibility. We need to be able to make sure that people are not fixed in their responses, that we as an administration are looking at all the options, we're continuously reviewing the options, and that we're ready to do whatever we have to do to promote the safety and high quality instruction for our students. So again, we're walking a tightrope, but from me, from an excitement point of view, gosh, I can't wait to see students back on campus. It's been a little bit of a ghost town, and I really look forward to seeing students. Even if we have masks on and we're socially distanced, it's still more fun for me. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. The campus is alive when students are flowing through it. And so I look forward to sharing those good times and to seeing people and to kind of getting the pulse of this university back going again.
I look forward to it too. I think everyone's going to become an expert in only being able to recognize people by their eyes and eyebrows, and I can't wait. That's all I have for you today, President Samaj-Trask. Anything you would like to add at all?
No, that's great, and I wish you all well. I think I will tell you this. I think the next month will be the most challenging and important month in UNT history. We're really on our toes. We're watching everything. We're watching for the HEALS Act funding. We're watching enrollment, and we're watching safety in the spread of COVID in North Texas. All of those things combined will mean we're going to be on our toes and we're able to respond in any way we have to keep everyone safe and moving forward.
And also, don't anyone forget the CARE Act application did open today, and students need to apply early, correct? Just to make sure they get as much funding as they need.
Early is better.
Okay. Thank you so much, President Samaj-Trask, and thank you. Join us again on next week, for another UNTPrez Talk.
You've been watching an NTTV special report, UNTPrez Talks, with Dr. Neil Samaj-Trask.